Hello, this is Malachi Bishop, professor with the Rehabilitation Counseling Program at the University of Kentucky. And this is Rehabilitation Counseling 650, Rehabilitation Counseling Theories and Techniques, Section 1. This is the first semester of a two-semester course in Rehabilitation Counseling Theory and Techniques. In this semester, we will be focusing on the theory part of that two-part sequence. We will be talking about techniques in the context of the theories that we will be studying. And we're going to start today with an introduction and overview of the course. So we're going to be talking about basically three things today. The question of why do we study counseling theory? Why is it important for us to understand counseling and personality theory? Why do we study this? And the second thing we'll talk about today is a brief history of counseling. And we do that today for a number of reasons, but primarily I think it is important when we begin our study of counseling theory and techniques, when we begin our careers as students becoming professional rehabilitation counselors, it is important to understand where we came from professionally and where we are. And then the third topic we will talk about today is the rehabilitation counselor as a professional person, and basically there we'll be talking about some professional issues and development as professional counselors. So we're going to start with question one. Why study counseling theory? Each of you, everybody who's taking this class, is working to become a professional rehabilitation counselor. And that is a professional counselor who specializes in serving and working with people with disabilities. And we'll be talking more about that definition a little bit later. But our work in this field does require that we have a good understanding of people, and the rehabilitation counseling perspective is that it is important to understand people in the context of the environments and systems in which they live and interact, so the person in context. It's important that you have knowledge and understanding of what it is that helps people to overcome their problems, what it is that creates problems for people, how we create our own problems or how problems are created for us, and how we can help people to effectively negotiate their environments. It's important that we have the ability to apply this understanding effectively as counselors. So in this course, we are basically talking about becoming a counselor, which I think is a process of understanding yourself and your own motivations for entering this profession, your beliefs and values with respect to counseling and the counseling process, and studying the theories and ideas that people have come up with about how people work and how we can work with people effectively. So at this point we are at the becoming a counselor stage. I wanted to say at the beginning that we'll talk more about this later on, that as your career develops and as you become and are a professional counselor, I believe it is going to be critically important that you continue to study theories and techniques, that you keep up on the professional research, that you participate in professional associations, attend conferences, and so on. And we're going to be talking, as I said, more about those professional issues a little bit later on. But for now, I want to start with these questions of getting a grounding in your own personal ideas about counseling and how and why it works. So I want to do that by asking you to consider a few questions. Do people change? Is the first question. Do you believe that people change? Or are people basically the same on some level? Do they have a consistency? If you believe that people change, how do people change? What are your ideas about that? And why do people change? What are our motivations for changing over the course of our lives? What do people have in common? So what are some ideas, some motivations, some elements of the way that people work that is the same? And the opposite of that is, how are people different? How are people unique? What do people want? What motivates us? What are the goals that we are working toward? Or what is it that we are trying to achieve? What are we striving for? Again, are there common goals? Are there things that people in general, wherever you go, are striving to achieve, that they are reaching for? And then the last question is, what is mental health? These are questions that we will be basically spending the rest of this semester thinking about and answering. You will be answering them for yourselves. But we will be studying theories, and basically what the theories that we're going to be studying do is address these questions from the variety of perspectives that we'll be looking at. So what is theory? Theory is basically the framework through which we will answer all of these questions. We'll be looking at how people have answered these questions in the past. More specifically, counseling theory helps us as counselors to do three specific things. First is, theory helps us organize and collect data. Theory helps us to understand an individual's behavior. Okay, it gives us a context for understanding what we see, what people are doing, what people are saying, what people are thinking. It provides a way of organizing information and guides us in deciding what else we would like to know. So when we receive information from our clients, we put those into our own our schema, our context, our ways of understanding the world. We organize the information that we get based on our ideas and our theories about people. And then theory guides us in the questions that we ask. Because I understand you and what you're saying this way, the next thing I want to know about you is this. And so theory guides our question asking, our seeking of information. The second thing is, theory guides our understanding of how the person wants to change. Okay, so ideas about where the person wants to go, what their goals are, what their motivations are. Many different theories have different ideas about what it is that ultimately people are working toward, people are interested in becoming, and so on. So how people want to change. And then the third thing that theory does for us is it guides our intervention strategies. What are we going to do to help this person? What's going to be the most effective way of working with this person for this particular individual in this specific situation? So theory allows us to decide which of the many interventions and techniques that we are going to be learning about are going to be the most effective and helpful for this person. There are many, over 400 I wrote here, but there are many basically counseling theories. We will be learning in this course, this semester, about some of the most frequently adhered to, the ones that have sort of stood the test of time, the ones that have been researched extensively, and the ones that people tend to sort of follow, and that's a far fewer number. A lot of the over 400 counseling theories are basically variations on the ideas that emerge in the theories that we'll be talking about this semester. We will be talking about the various theories that we'll be studying basically chronologically. In other words, based on when they were developed. So we are going to start with Freud's psychoanalysis and Adlerian theory, and then we will be working basically through the 20th century from that point until the more recent and current theories. We will be doing them sequentially, and the point there is that these theories, you will see, tend to build on each other. A lot of the ideas that people are working with today are ideas that were talked about and developed earlier on in the development of counseling theory, or the variations on those fundamental ideas that other people talked about earlier. So we will be discussing the main theoretical perspectives. We'll be introducing the theory in terms of what are the key ideas, what is the process of therapy, how does it work in this particular theory, the nature of the counseling relationship, and you'll see that the ideas about what the relationship looks like or should look like varies quite a bit from theory to theory. And then we'll be talking about counseling techniques and interventions associated with the theory that we're studying, and applications in the rehabilitation counseling process when appropriate. We will learn about the theorists. So almost every time we learn about a new theory, I'm going to spend a little time telling you about the individual or individuals who are associated with developing the theory. And the reason I do that is that I think it does offer important insights into the theory itself. It helps us to understand what the theory is about when we understand what the person went through. Just like your own experiences in your life, your own background play an important part in what you believe in your own personal theory of counseling and how you operate with your clients. So I think that's an important part of this, and we will be talking a little bit about the theorists themselves. And the last thing I want to say about this course is that it is very important that you read your textbook, preferably before viewing the lectures, and a few reasons for that. But basically, I will be presenting theories and information. I won't necessarily be just following along with the chapters in the textbook that you're reading. I hope to provide some additional information that is not in the textbook, and there will be areas that I will not spend as much time on that are important to understand and that are covered more extensively in the textbook. So it is going to be very important that you read your text in addition to viewing the lectures. Okay. The second topic I wanted to talk about fairly briefly today is the history of counseling. Sounds like a big study, but we're going to spend just a few minutes, and I said before, I think it's important to know where we come from as a profession as we get started, especially getting started in our academic and professional careers in this field. We're going to go about this a couple of different ways. We're going to start by talking about what was going on in the early 20th century when counseling emerged. And it really is a profession that involved a number of things happening at once and over the course of the 20th century, coming together to eventually lead to the development of a profession of counseling and a profession of rehabilitation counseling. So, as Rockwell suggested in Corey and Gross's introductory text on counseling, the concept of a professional person educated for counseling, in other words, the idea of a professional counselor, could only have happened in the U.S. And why is that? Basically, counseling emerged in the late 1800s and early 1900s as the result of a coming together or a confluence of a number of factors, economic, social, and educational factors. All these things going on in the late 1800s and early 1900s, which led to some sort of unique problems in the history of society. And counseling was the response that emerged to deal with these problems. So a few things were going on during this period that led to the eventual development of the counseling profession. The first issue was the Industrial Revolution going on in the late 1800s. And the Industrial Revolution is basically a period of time when machines and automation, the development of machines that would do the work of many people, were developed, all of technological advances, allowing the increase of production. Okay, and this capability really changed American society in a number of ways. One important thing was that it changed our economy from a farm-based economy where people were more spread out living on farms to a situation where the bulk of the population was moving into and living in the cities. So we moved from a farm-based to an industry-based economy. During this period, the population sort of realized that we had gone as far west as we could. The frontier closed. All right, we couldn't go west anymore. We reached the Pacific Ocean, and so we started thinking about stop growing that way and moving into the cities that existed for work. The second issue that went along with, especially went along with this movement of the population into the cities, was that you had a growing, fast-growing number of students who needed to be educated. We needed to educate large groups of people, and we needed to educate them specifically to be workers in this new economy. Between 1870 and 1910, the number of public high schools in the U.S. went from 500 to 10,000. So very fast growth in the population, 7 to 17 million students in elementary and high school during that period. So significant growth in the size of the population, school age, and needing to be educated in vocational skills. Third thing that happened was the period of time following the Civil War. And basically the idea here is that with the end of the Civil War, the end of the eventual end of the slave society, came in theory an end to a closed class society where people could expect to enjoy a limited range of vocational opportunities. And we sort of developed this idea that's associated with the American dream that hard work and persistence will allow anybody, even a person born in a log cabin, for example, to become president, to achieve wealth and success in America. So we moved from a closed class society to a society where anybody can do well. And what happens in that movement is that people want to achieve wealth and success, and anybody who's willing to work hard can do that, and begins to feel that they have the right to do that. So that was a different way of thinking about things. The fourth issue was there was this new field of psychology developing during this period. Okay, and what was happening with the developing profession of psychology was that people were paying more attention to individual differences, personality dynamics, individual behavior, really a shift in the way of the way we thought about people, really a new science focused on people and their personalities and their differences, their intellect, and so on. And these were exciting ideas that were making their way into the U.S. During this period. And these ideas were being noticed as having potential in assisting with this basically large group of people who needed help in making vocational choices and finding careers that would be rewarding and effective for them. Along with the development of psychology, we saw the development of intelligence and placement testing and all sorts of testing during this period. And we also started to see that this could be very useful in helping with vocational placement. So in the early 1900s, for example, Alfred Binet was working in Paris, and he was asked to develop a means of assessing children basically to help decide which children should be in regular education and which children would need more remedial or special education, as it came to be known. And to do that, Binet developed some of the first intelligence tests for the purpose of basically placing people. So around this time, Binet and others were working on this idea of testing, intelligence testing, as a means of placing people. And with World War I, there was a proliferation of standardized tests of intelligence, personality traits. So really a boom in this idea of using tests to decide where people would be most effective. So all these factors going on at the same time led to a society that was faced with a number of difficult issues. How can we effectively place adults in appropriate vocations? It was a period, the period of the largest growth in terms of immigrants in the U.S. history, and basically adding to the tremendous growth in the population, and how we're going to effectively distribute immigrants across vocational options. How are we going to help people move from school to work? So we had a lot of people finishing school and not effectively moving into careers. What is the appropriate way to educate children in this new society? What is the best method for educating people for eventual work? How can we reduce unnecessary job shifts by workers? And how can we reduce workers' dissatisfaction? And generally, there was a need for professionals who could help people deal with these vocationally related choices.